And I was so upset when I finally sat down and then watched the worthwhile match on this fiasco. I was more insulted and offended and upset for Randy Orton and Edge. And now we find out Edge tore his tricep. He's going to be out for a while. They go out there and put on a clinic, have the closest thing you can have to a masterpiece in this day and age in wrestling, work their asses off, and Edge gets hurt and is going to have surgery. And it was all for naught because nobody could take a goddamn bit of it seriously because they had just seen the whole business mocked and made a joke of. I did like the MSG microphone and the Finkel announcements. That was great. The referee instructions being mic'd. That was great. Imagine that. The announcers actually said, see, there's rules in this match. Like there's not supposed to be rules in every match. We've come this far that it's a special attraction because you presented a wrestling match with rules. It's like if I'd been a kid and my mother said, I'm going to give you a special sandwich today, Jimmy. It's going to have bread. Fucking dipshits. No wonder I can't stand any of this shit. They started sweetening the crowd at the start out of the music and the presentation they made, so you wouldn't really notice it. And it wasn't bad at the beginning, but it started to grow. By the end of it, I was really getting pissed because if they'd have said, okay, we're going to go to a small arena or maybe even the fucking warehouse in the Titan Television over on Hamilton Avenue, and we're going to put 50 people in there and we're going to have them make some noise. But they were using legitimate crowd noise of a crowd of thousands, Brian. You can't know. It was visually and fucking audio-wise, it conflicted and was distracting. Was it not to you?
It was. I mean, I also thought it's ridiculous when you have a bunch of developmental wrestlers chanting, "This is awesome" and "Fight forever." But when that sound is amplified by thousands and thousands of fans who aren't there, it's almost as bad as the weird chanting of the monks during the Hardy match earlier.
Well, but here's the thing. Bring that up also, the fucking chanting of the crowd. This is awesome. No, it's not awesome when the heel is beating up the babyface. That's when you're supposed to be chanting and cheering for Edge. And no, you don't want them to fight forever. You want the babyface to win quickly and cleanly as quickly as possible. You don't want the match to go on forever. That's fucking stupid. When's the last time you saw a fucking Muhammad Ali fight? Or a fucking UFC title match where they're going, fight longer? No, they're cheering for one guy to get his fucking ass knocked out. So the developmental wrestlers are smart marks. The trainees are not as smart to the business as probably half the people that would be in the stands. Because they're going, fight forever and this is awesome. In the wrong places. No. And the sweetened crowd, distracting. It took away from what these guys did. This match would have torn the house down with a crowd in any arena or any stadium, but it also would have been good without their fucking audio tricks with the crowd they had in the building because you could hear the smacks of the meat and the flesh. Physically, the way this was worked, these two guys were this is as close as you're going to get to fucking Flair and Steamboat with today's crowds. Even if they'd had a crowd, it wouldn't have been as good as Flair and Steamboat because they wouldn't have had the 1989 fucking crowd in Chicago or Nashville. If you'd have put Randy Orton and Edge in front of a crowd from 1989 in Chicago or Nashville, this would have been as good as Flair and Steamboat. But since the people are all fucked up, you could never get that good again. But from the opening arm drag spot, two technicians, tight headlocks, tight lockups, facials, reactions, the little shit, the timing, the whether to register, whether to sell. We haven't mentioned this. Samoa Joe, to me, has a new career. Yeah, we wish the other fucking guy would shut up next to Michael Cole so we could hear more Joe. I thought he was great and added a lot to this. Be honest with you, I think his go-to word is gentleman. When he calls the other announcers gentlemen, that works every once in a while. I think he said gentleman like 746 times. It's a go-to word because he's still new at this, but he's going to be fucking excellent.
And there's part of the problem with their announcers. You thought that was Michael Cole. That was an announcer trained by Michael Cole.
Was that not Michael Cole?
I think it was that Tom Phillips guy.
Well, fuck, it sounded like Michael Cole.
They all sound the same. They all sound the same.
Well, Joe sounded different. Here, by the way, we mentioned Happy Feet here lately on the program and the Mongo, Steve Mongo McMichael Twitter account. And we talked about what Happy Feet is in a training class. Go back and watch this match. When you see Edge crisscrossing the ring, the opposite of Happy Feet. Both he and Orton so smooth, crisscrossing, hitting the ropes, changing things up, whether they're leapfrogging or bending over, ducking a move or whatever. And also, when you watch a guy that really knows what he's doing, you'll see that Edge takes 3 steps and turns. When he's hitting the ropes, no matter what, he's crisscrossing the ring, 3 steps and turn, 3 steps and turn. And also, except if, as I mentioned, he's ducking something or doing a move, when he's crisscrossing the ring, his head, he's got a level head. That's what you watch. Once the guy gets the footwork down, you'll be able to watch the head also. The head is completely level from one side of the ring to the other. 3 steps and turn, head's level. That's when you know somebody's got something. These guys always knew where they were in the ring. And the way that they lay their hands on each other. The way they grip shit. The way they struggle sometimes. The way they work the fucking holds. They built to a big spot where Edge clotheslined Randy on the fucking apron, headbutted him off the apron, and then gave him a big clothesline off the top. Edge went to the floor, and both of them sold it. Randy got a little juice, which seemed like it was natural, because there wasn't enough of it to be gimmick. And just everything looked good. They sold everything. They registered. They reacted to everything. Everything made sense. I really started hating the crowd sweetening when Orton was bouncing Edge off the desk because that's where it got distracting. But they did the great chop exchange. They would build up these exchanges where they would pay off and then they'd both be down or they'd let it breathe or they'd enter a new stage, the ebb and the flow. That's the one superplex. Was made to seem like a career-ending move. They replayed it 3 times. The guys, both of them sold it. Imagine that. Yeah, I haven't seen that double cross body in a while, but I love it on 2 full-grown guys. You know, you see sometimes the little midgets try to do it. But did you see after the double cross body double knockout, boom, they land and it looked good in slow-mo. They didn't even have to do the slow-mo speed-up trick. Boom, knocked the piss out of both of them, it looked like, but then Orton rolled over and grabbed Edge's wrist, check to see if he was okay, and Edge gave him the office real quick, and off they go. They put in some twists and turns.
That,
go ahead.
Because some of the listeners may not understand what you just said about going for the wrist and then getting the office. Explain what that means.
Okay, well, you'll see, basically, Randy rolled over and just touched Edge's wrist, which was kind of like, are you okay? And you see Edge move his fingers a couple times and tap. I mean, when you give somebody the office, it's the same thing. Give me the Iggy, give me the office. You're giving them a heads up on something. But for example, if I lock up with you, Brian Last, and I take your arm and I crank you up in a wrist lock and I'm cranking your arm, right? You know how sometimes the guy that's getting that done will go ahead and reverse it. He'll spin under and reverse it. Well, if I've got your arm and I real quick squeeze your wrist with my thumb and forefinger 2 or 3 times, tweak, 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 that's giving you the office. That means reverse this. If it's a hold, or if you grab somebody you're checking on them, if they give you the tweak, tweak, that means they're okay. Giving you the office means alerting you to something if you've got a chin lock on me and you're laying on my fucking back and you're fucking cinching up and I can't breathe and I need you to get your fat ass up off of me, I'm going to fucking grab your arm around my neck with both hands and I'm going to give you that tweak, tweak, tweak. And that's loosen up, motherfucker. And the next thing you get if you don't do that is my thumb in your fucking eye. So there's a variety of ways to non-verbally communicate. And I was going to mention they did the twists and turns, foiling moves and reversals. And at one point, Randy had hit fucking Edge with something, and he put his head down, like the deal where you put your head down and you're going to turn the guy with your head and you're kind of bulling under him. And I thought it was Michael Cole. Now you've made me question that, but whoever the fucking Michael Cole-ish announcer was said he's going to shoot the half. That came directly from Vince. We used to, when we would have just creative meetings, and Vince sometimes would go off on a tangent about things he didn't like if you're being choked in the corner and your hands are on the ropes instead of the guy's hands around your neck, you don't like that. And he'd also, and these guys are getting so complicated. They just go for these covers. They look so lax. Why don't they just shoot the half? Like that was Vince's way to communicate that he was well-versed in amateur wrestling. A full Nelson, which Lashley used in the show. Everybody knows what a full Nelson is. Well, a half Nelson is if you hook your arm up around the guy's arm and shoulder with one side, but not the other. That's a half Nelson. Well, Vince would always say, well, they ought to shoot the half. Just shoot that arm in there and turn the guy over and hook him, right? He wanted legitimate looking covers. And this shoot the half was his method of being Dana White, right? So that announcer was told or has been told many times before and just now does it naturally. As, Vince said, well, tell him to just shoot the half. Orton was not shooting the half. He would put his head under him, not his arm around the guy's fucking shoulder. But he got away with it. Anyway, after he shot the half by not shooting the half, they went into false finishes. All of them were plausible. That great crossbody off the top by Edge. At his age. I saw the camera angle under the DDT. And they did another screwy camera angle I didn't like because that once again diminished the work these guys were doing. Even if they made a couple of edits in other places, that didn't slap you in the face. You couldn't really tell unless you're experienced in television production and looking for something like that. You could take this ride with Randy Orton and Edge and think this was in one piece, except when they did those stupid angles, there's no way that the camera could have been under them in that situation. So that was disrespectful to the effort that the guys were putting on. We talked about the chants from the fucking Mark trainees. This is awesome and fight forever is bullshit. Finally, they teased the fucking, they did other guys' finishes before they did their own big ones, which I thought was kind of cool because normally I'll say, well, you did fucking Randy Savage's elbow drop and it reminded people that fucking Randy Savage wasn't there. But in this case, these guys were bigger stars than the people whose moves they were doing or more current stars. Edge did Christian's move, but let's face it, Edge probably nudged Christian in that race. Wasn't it Orton did a fucking angle slam? But, Kurt's retired now and, et cetera. But it wasn't like, and also these guys are major stars. So it wasn't like they were doing other guys' shit and putting me in mind of the other guys. They used the other guys' finishes to warm up to where they could use theirs and nobody had kicked out of their own finishes. And then finally the series of cradles into the RKO the first time, but boom, but then the spear out of nowhere and it hit him with it again. Those spears look fucking wicked. The second RKO out of nowhere false finish was great. And then finally, boom, Edge clamped that fucking choke on, but Orton hit they missed it, a shot of it, a clear shot of it first. But Orton hit the fucking questionable low blow and hit the big fucking head punt. 1, 2, 3. That was the right, I think, result for this, especially even though they didn't know Edge was going to be hurt. Now he's going to be out. But I think it was the right result because in a perfect world, they would have been able to continue this program if they wanted to. But still, Orton had to kind of be the guy to win since he's been active for the past 10 years and Edge hadn't. But it could have gone either way. They could have, if they'd had a crowd, they should have gone with Edge getting the win, just for the big fucking pop and then let Randy get some heat after. But there was nothing wrong with this match once you left it up to the fucking guys. It was only when they tried to dress it up with camera angles or sweeten the sound that it distracted and took away from what was solid top to bottom. These guys are just incredible. and they didn't make any fucking mistakes. And if they did make a slight misstep, they covered it up like fucking pros. I haven't seen anything top to bottom that just looked that good as far as actual pro wrestling in a long time, but the crowd sweetening and the fucking bullshit that they tried to do to it distracted from it, and they'd already had somebody come out and take a literal shit right in front of everybody right before they went in the fucking ring. So I would have been hot if I was Randy Orton or Edge at how that my efforts were disrespected and fucking neutralized by the comedy crew and the fucking comedy writing crew.
What did you think about the idea of marketing it as the greatest wrestling match ever before it even took place?
I wouldn't have done that because obviously, you know, and even Edge said it can't ever be the greatest match ever. I would have found some way to go in that direction without saying that it was going to be the greatest ever. But yes, the point is that you could tell those guys took it seriously because they put together something that not only made sense all the way through, but also you could tell they were extra careful on the little things that a really brilliant worker would pay attention to. Edge's facial expressions when he's getting a shit kicked out of him and he's disoriented, or they're in a hold and they're working the hold, and the stance of not only the guy that's got the hold on, but the fucking body language of the guy that's in it. They made sure that there was no holes in their little things because they wanted to come through with as technically perfect and not perfect, but just technically well done piece of business that anybody at least still living has seen. Us old folks that saw everybody may have seen some things better, but to market it that way, it's almost to me, marketing is the greatest wrestling match of all time on purpose because it's these two guys that are great workers is almost like advertising this as the greatest match of all time is sort of like when the announcers popped on it at the beginning because it actually had rules. You're sort of in effect knocking all the other matches and or telling people that all the other guys don't know what the fuck they're doing, but these guys are real great workers. It just there were for 100 years the logic in wrestling was easy. Present it like it's real and don't let anybody know anything else if you can help it. And that was pretty easy to follow. But now that they've fucking told everybody that everything's bullshit, except when every once in a while we want you to believe something's real, even though it's bullshit too, but we'll go extra miles to make you think that it's real, even though you're going to figure it out sooner or later that it's bullshit because we didn't close all the fucking loopholes because we can't think that well. The whole work shoot thing is just, it's fucking goofy. So they're presenting matches now that stand out because there are actually rules in them. And they're advertising that matches are going to be great because it's not these fucking new guys that we've fucking rushed up and don't know their basics and can't fucking perform properly. It's the veterans from the old days that know what they're doing. This is what they're telling people. I don't get it. But having said that, bravo, gentlemen. Do you know is there, and I know that, and AJ and Daniel Bryan, I'm sure was good, and Daniel Bryan's a great worker, but when you put AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan in the ring, you have a technical, excellent match that may be a step above at the gate Billy Robinson and Tony Charles, where Eddie Graham would sit back there and say it's a great match to have on the card for wrestling, but it ain't going to draw you any money. But you have Randy Orton, who's been a mega-level star, and Edge, who's been a mega-level star, and both of them look like grown men and look like big stars. I don't know that there's anybody... is there 10 guys in the business that could have had a match of that length, worked that well, especially at both Orton and Edge's age, and not fuck up something? I don't know that there's that many in the business these days that could have done that good for that long. So they should be commended. What'd you think?
Well, I thought it was really good. Similar to you, the crowd noise didn't bother me as much. I just got kind of used to that. The bad camera angles or the weird camera angles are the ones that are implausible. at a few different points. The one from underneath where you see Edge's face, you said it was a DDT. I didn't remember what it was. I guess it was a DDT.
Well, I wrote, because I thought that they did something like that at the start of the match on a lockup, but I had written something down and looked up and just saw a glimpse of it. And I said, maybe I was seeing things. But then they did it again where I think he was going for a DDT and you see Edge's face and it's not possible. Where's my note? Wait a minute. Hold on. Because I wrote, camera angle under DDT. Like if they'd have given the move, and then you see him give the move seconds later from another camera angle, they would have dropped on the cameraman.
You're right. There's no camera there.
Yeah, that immediately is. There's no reason for that. It looks stupid. Anybody could say as soon as they see something like that looks stupid. That couldn't happen. We put in a teleporting cameraman in there.
I didn't like that. I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen with Randy Orton. I thought it was really, really good. I really, really liked it. Samoa Joe was great. The only thing I didn't like was Joe did it, and I think one of the other idiots on commentary did it. When Randy Orton, things kind of slowed down at the end, and he backed up to the corner like, oh my God, he's going to that dark place.
Yeah.
He's going to that dark place. What? Shut up. Shut up.
Going to that dark place.
What dark place?
He's thinking he's just going to kick this motherfucker he's fighting in the face. Don't get overly dramatic.
Yeah, but other than that, it was great. I mean, like you said, it sucks that it was after that complete comedy bullshit. They were going to do that, open up the show with that or something. Don't put it right before a really ultra-serious grudge match. This match should have been the match they had at WrestleMania, other than that brawl around the developmental center.
That's what I was going to say is I was really looking forward to seeing a match in a ring with these guys because they did the fucking thing at WrestleMania. And it just, but these guys are artists at what they do in the ring. And this was fucking great. But they the company tries everything they can to diminish when guys are capable of doing something like this. This is a kind of match where if you have friends that aren't wrestling fans, you would want to say, hey, watch this. Look at what these guys can do. And you'd be proud of something like that instead of this fucking football field nonsense or all this other shit that people will laugh at. And then you've just made people laugh at your fucking business. So, this is the kind of thing you want non-wrestling fans to see where they go, wow, holy shit, bow, boom, boom, boom. These guys are fucking great. And it's fucking serious. But they go to all this work and on the same show. That's why Luthez didn't want to work with the girls, the midgets, or the bear, because he was trying to be a legitimate world champion and give the business a good image. And so I think they ought to, from now on, anybody who wants to work hard and actually put their body at risk to give the business a good image and put in a great performance should stipulate they don't want to be on the same show with Street Profits and the fucking Viking Raiders. Just like the girls, the midgets, and the bear for Thez. Because it's embarrassing and a fucking disgrace.
Unfortunately, with Bruce Pritchard being elevated to his new position, which just helps Vince McMahon get his bullshit concepts out there more, I think we're going to start seeing more of this, not less of this.
Hey, I got news for you. If Bruce Pritchard was behind that fucking tag team thing, he was elevated, all right. He was high as fuck. If he was behind that fucking tag team thing. That's what they ought to start drug testing for. Don't test for the virus. Don't test for steroids. Test for hallucinogenics in your fucking creative staff. All right, anyway, I'm done with this whole fucking, Randy Orton and Edge, you deserve all the accommodations, all the accolades or the allocades if you're Lex Luger in the world for putting on a tremendous match, and the company that sponsored it and put it on the air deserves a lot of shame for doing everything they could to diminish it and make it look bad. And that's what I got to say about that.